I know.
I just go, so that do colors fine.
Chris,
Looks fantastic.
do you know what day 2 hair is?
I don't know.
But
Do you know what day 2 hair is?
Day one hair is.
Married, you might know. Day 2 hair. Dr.
Mary.
Cronk, do you know what day 2 hair is?
The day after your haircut.
Debbie, do you know what day 2 hair is?
I thought shit.
If I was to say I'm on day 2 hair, would you know what I'm talking about? Have you watching today? Dr. Strong got it.
oh, yeah, I got it.
But not now.
I should have done that.
I-
Crash, and I guess. You had everything back.
Yeah, I know.
Or you can use-
I should.
I don't know, but I heard it's on the cop says. that-
Okay, I can't tell you.
It's like, I'm pretty sure. And I said. I keep. Oh, good time. Dinner time. I call the October meeting for the Osage County R2 School District Board meeting to order. Do we have guests? Kind of thin tonight. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. All right, agenda is approved. Do we have anybody for open forum?
You do not.
We do not. All right. Approval consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Consent agenda is approved. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last month?
I move we approve the minutes from last month.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion on minutes, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. All right, approval and transfer of payment of bills. Anybody see anything they want to discuss? Wasn't too exciting this month. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. All right, reports, elementary.
Good evening. So I want to start out as always with some celebrations. So some great things happening in our building right now. We are still having a ton of positive office referrals. So that's great to see the kids really stepping up and taking leadership roles within our building. Birthday treats with the principal celebrations are still going well. Kids are enjoying it, it seems. A big thank you to Kelly Kraus for preparing the meal for Fall Family Fun Night. That was such a good time. The food was complimented very highly, so thank you. We also had a great turnout for that Fall Family Fun Night, about the same as last year. Families enjoyed food, games, and just time together. So it was nice to see everybody come out and have a good time. We also had a lot of great discussions this month with Dr. Jill Brown, our reading consultant. She came in and was able to break down some data with us, also give us some guidance on the new reading success plans. Those will be due in February, so we have to start them now so we can have data and put some plans in place for kids with reading. She also was able to walk us through a few examples of those, which was really nice to get some more guidance. Upcoming events. Tomorrow we have Food for America Day and Grandparents Day, so we're looking forward to that and having a good time with all of our family. October 26th, we will host our first round of parent-teacher conferences. And then October 31st, we will hold our Halloween parade and Halloween parties. Up next, I presented you with some evaluate data from September and October. Important note to make on those. September and October do not correlate, so every other month will correlate. So September data will match November data, if that makes sense. They're assessing different standards. We're still seeing a lot of yellow and some red right now, so not exactly where we want to be, but we have a plan moving forward. We will be putting RTI practices into place and differentiating those for students to meet them where they are, to help them grow. And then those reading success plans will be put into place at the end of this month to increase that growth as well. We will continue to use this data and break it down during data team meetings to improve student achievement and drive our instruction. On the last page there, you have your DIBELS data from the beginning of the year. So that was collected in August by our title teachers, and that will be collected 3 times during the year. We use that data with Dr. Jill Brown to break down RTI groups and get them into the skills that they might be missing right now. And then that also drove our instruction as far as who gets a reading success plan. So if they're going to be read when we're progress monitoring those skills, they're going to get that individualized reading success plan. That really goes over procedures that can happen in title and then also within the classroom to help them be successful in reading. And maybe catch up on some of those missing skills they're having. Any questions?
Questions?
I was going to comment on, well, 2 things. Thanks
Yes.
for providing this data in your report. I really appreciate that. And then secondly, the family fun night, I really appreciated that all of the teachers or nearly all of the teachers are wearing matching t-shirts because some of the parents might know who the teachers are, but not everybody does. And it was very helpful for parents.
Absolutely. That was actually an idea from our 2 amazing title teachers, and that went over very well, I felt like. So kudos to them. That was an awesome idea. Any other questions?
Nope. All right, thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thank you.
Athletic director report.
Got excited. So first, thank you for letting me speak tonight. Next month is when I'm going to give my more inclusive report on fall sports, as those seasons will have wrapped up by then, as well as our winter sports. Like middle school basketball has already started, but high school basketball is not. And so I figure next month will be a more appropriate time to give you more of an inclusive report. But I did want to give a couple of shout outs. Junior high volleyball had a great year this year. Our players showed significant progress and really built on their fundamental skills. And so the other thing is we had a couple of kids, 3 or 4 of them that wouldn't have played if we wouldn't have had it in fall. And so that was really great. Even with that, numbers weren't quite where we wanted them to be. And so I even think about like if those kids would have been on the team, what that would have looked like in the spring. And so I was very excited about how that went this year. And obviously this was year 1. And so we'll just keep building and progressing with that. High school volleyball is having great success in postseason. They won their quarterfinal game against North Callaway on earlier this week. And so the first time we played them, we lost 0-3, and we beat them 3-0 in their quarterfinal game. So that was awesome. Tonight, they're actually battling Herman in the semifinal round of districts. And so we're excited to see what happens tonight.
What time did that start?
6 o'clock.
Okay.
So
We'll know
they're
by the
in
end
it
of the-
right now.
Is Herman the 1?
What's that?
Is Herman the 1 seed?
They were the 1 seed. Cross country is going to wrap up their regular season here on Saturday, and their district meet is going to be at South Callaway on the 28th. They've had great success too. So we've had our kids medal or win as a team for girls cross country in almost every event. So that's been fantastic. And then obviously our softball team won the district championship. It hasn't been done in a really long time. And so that was super exciting. And we, based on where we were in the bracket, we'll be hosting the state quarterfinal game here in Lynn on Saturday. So we've been preparing for that, and it's super exciting, which brings me to digital ticketing. I really wanted to take a moment to kind of explain that. So with Misha, once we get the districts have whoever is hosting districts has an option of doing cash or digital ticketing at that level. And so, for example, like South Callaway hosted softball, and they're also hosting cross country. They chose to do the cash option for softball, but they're doing digital ticketing for cross country. Once you get past districts, anything beyond that in the state tournament, you are required to do digital ticketing. So we don't have an option to do that. So I've really been trying to get that out on our district Facebook page, our activities Facebook page. I sent a message out today with a direct link to how to do that. Just talking to everybody I can about how that's coming. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, please purchase your tickets before you come to the events. And so, you know, we put out a graphic that step-by-step explains how to do that. I also put out the price and our processing fee, which I know that's not ideal, but nothing that we can control. And so, you know, obviously we'll do everything we can, but we cannot admit people unless they have a digital ticket. So please buy your tickets.
So if you show up and you don't have one,
You
if the technology works, you can get one.
Yes, you can get on your phone, click on that link, you can purchase it right there on your phone.
Okay.
And those tickets, I believe, are on sale till 4 p.m. Right, so after about when the game should end, right? So
Yeah, people.
it's not like you have
They
to
do
buy it
all
by.
time. Like half of them step out of the line. The biggest annoyance with this is like Chris said, is that it costs like $9, not $8. Because of a processing fee.
So it's,
Michigan's gonna go ahead and forward it to everybody else because they have the software. That's what that is. So it's like, I think it's $8 for a quarter. Is that right? If
$8 for the
$8, then
quarterfinal.
it's gonna be $9. So it
Yeah.
says $8. It's not.
$1.58
It's
per
more
ticket.
because
$9.
Michigan's gonna get paid. And people will in fact get angry at the host people who are taking the money. That happens 100% of the time. And it's gonna happen Saturday.
and fully.
And it's Michigan's fault.
Yeah.
You know, that's.
Of particular interest, everybody should know that cellular signal is not good over there.
It's
at the
fantastic.
ballpark.
It's gonna be great. You guys are gonna be really happy.
It's gonna be fun.
I mean, it's been like, it's like 3 or 4 years.
If you
So
drive
like
down
more-
Fufi a mile, you get on a line, drive down Fufi about 2 miles, and it's actually pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it does get that.
I mean, like, it's, I don't know, it's at least 3 years for this.
It's not a new.
So I mean, you know, it's like, hopefully it's not. People aren't as ugly about it as. I mean, I don't know, it's not like everybody's gonna be, but you always have that random jerk.
All right.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is last month I presented a transportation policy. Again, my intention for that was threefold. One, obviously, the number one concern and priority was the safety of our students in regards to athletics and activities, because our athletics and activities are an extension of the school day. Two, as everything, I've been trying to put policies in place so we have consistency. And then 3, I want to safeguard our district and our staff from any liabilities surrounding transportation. And so what I did, so how did I go about this process? Well, one is everything I tried to see what other people are doing, right? What is, because, you know, we currently do not have a transportation policy. Other districts do. And so, you know, my assumption based on my own work and some of the other ADs I talked to is that they've gone through this vetting process. And so some of the districts I looked at were, actually, can I say which districts? Sure. Okay, South Callaway, Harrisburg, Eugene, Fatima, Blair Oaks, Smithville, North Kansas City, and Jeff City. From there, what I wanted to do is look at what were the consistent pieces, right? What were the things that each one of them had? Obviously, they're all different in some way, but what were the items that were consistent in each one of them? And so that really came down to 3 things. One, that school transportation to events was absolutely required. Every single one of those transportation policies, every single one of them had that. With the caveat of what I put in ours, which is, you know, if there's 2 school events, right? How do we transport our kids? And what is the process for that? 2, if there is alternative transportation, right, that there's some sort of advance notice, right? And so I know that we changed, I had 24 hours in there because I'd seen that in a couple of them. But I know that was one of the feedback items you guys gave to me last month. And so we changed that to just advance notice, which was also in several of these, but some form of that was in each one of those policies. And then 3, how do we, like, who gets to do that, right? And so if other individuals are to transport, right? One of the things that is in all of them was, it required advance notice of some form. Right, and it had to be approved by some school official or, administrator. Okay, and so that was almost unanimously across all those policies. However, even in that, some of those, it was very direct that only parents or guardians could do that. So again, right, as we talked and kind of as we went through that process, this is an extension of our school day, so it should align with what our policy is as a school district. And so that's how I did that. So I sent you a copy. I really tried to take the feedback that you guys gave me and incorporate it into this revised edition. And so, but again, my job is to serve the board and the community as well as, right, I work for you guys, so.
Any comments on that? I mean, it looks like you captured everything that we talked about last month.
I wouldn't put that paragraph in there at all, but I think I might be alone on that. I just wouldn't put that in there.
Which one?
I don't, the one about how we are recommending that people contact 24 hours in advance where they can take a kid home from an event. I just don't think you need to do that at all. I think that it is always okay if you follow protocols regarding signing out procedures and stuff, that a parent take a kid home from the event. I think that just raise that up a little bit. I wouldn't put that there.
Are you talking about
I'm talking about number one.
Okay. And I tried to put as a rule of thumb, just to, because I know that was something that we talked about. and
Right.
It's just more of a recommendation, right, that we partner with parents in that. It's just more about advanced notice and that. So But
So
I will-
what are you saying? You're saying.
Who's you, me?
Right. What are you saying? That,
I don't think you need to put that at all.
okay, and how does that change the reading of it? I mean,
You're saying it's a bit too specific?
I think he's saying that a parent shouldn't have to give 24 hours notice. If they're
Yeah.
gonna take their kid.
Well, from what I understand, they don't. We're not gonna tell, I mean, you know what you say, Chris, like, we're not gonna tell a parent they can't take their kid, even if they do not give 24 hours notice. Is that accurate?
Correct, yeah,
The
and that's,
policy
No
kind
point
of
in putting number one.
The policy kind of reads though, that it's the polite thing to do, right? So that's kind of all it says, is that would be polite.
I mean, I
Right,
think
sure it's
that's
that,
what it was.
but okay,
before
I
was
get it, but like,
You had to give 24 hours notice if someone else other than the parent or guardian was going to take them.
Someone else unless they're on the.
yeah, I mean, I don't think. That's not that at all, though.
No, that's not what that says, but I kind of agree. I can see giving the 24 hours notice to someone other than myself will be taking my child home, but
Right, I mean,
if.
I understand it's a courtesy. I just don't. I don't look at it the way you look at it. I really don't. Like, I think it's a thing that if. As long as there's supervision, there's protocols, it's a signing out process. I think that we're completely liability wise, completely covered there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're trying to promote like, team camaraderie, the socialization of riding home with the team, yeah, I understand that. That's also done internally for coaches. It's not. I wouldn't, I wouldn't regulate that at all, other than to say that, of course, parents have to sign their kids out and face the coach and tell them they're gonna, hey, I've got such and such. I mean, of course, we have to follow that protocol. Of course.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't regulate beyond that a bit.
so you're saying anything after as a rule of thumb and in the spirit of partnership, I'll take off everything. beyond
Right,
that.
I mean, I'm one guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, I mean, if everybody else is cool.
I mean, if we're not gonna stop somebody from doing it at the game, why have it?
Right.
Well, we wouldn't stop a parent or guardian at the game, but if it were just somebody trying to take a child, we wouldn't let them.
Well, exactly, but that's not what that says.
No, but it just simply says like, we'd really appreciate if parents would go ahead and call us beforehand, that then you explain you want a planning process. I understand what you're saying. I just simply just don't look at it that way. Agree, disagree type of thing. But I mean, like. I don't, it says,
but then the first paragraph contradicts it, doesn't it? Because it says in this,
First one's.
The circumstance regarding must discuss this process.
So that is-
On to say additional circumstances will be handled on a case by case
Right.
basis.
That's transportation to the events, and the
Okay.
exception would be when we have two school events,
Got
right?
it.
That we would need
Okay.
to sort of. That needs to be communicated.
I don't-
so.
Think that the line in there about including and possessing a valid license, adequate insurance and a suitable vehicle should probably be in there either. If we're not gonna check those things, there's no point in having them. And we can't legally check somebody's license and we can't ask for that.
So that we can require it, and then if somebody gets in an accident, they don't have insurance. You said that was our rule, they were supposed to have insurance. And
That's-
I get that, I'm guessing it's in everybody
But
else's
how is
policy.
that on the school? If the parent signed their child out and that parent goes down the road and has an accident, how are we liable? We're not.
Is this in regards to the parent or somebody other than the parent?
No, it says parents, guardian, or person listed in infinite campus.
Bringing-
Providing transportation must meet driver requirements, including possessing a valid license, adequate insurance, and a suitable vehicle.
I think you're just setting expectations when you're taking your kid.
Correct, and
It's not necessarily.
my train of thought, that was, because again, one of my things was I wanted to have some sort of safeguard for our district and staff, right? And so in my mind, right, that's the expectation and the ideal situation, not that our coaches or, right, like you said, right, would ever go out, I need to see your license, I need to see it. But if, again, there's an incident that occurs, right, that is our standard and our expectation. And I wanted it in there for that reason, as well as just so that we have.
Did the other
It's in there,
schools,
But.
did the other schools include similar language on that one or not?
Some, did.
Okay,
Not all, but some. Sorry, before we go down there, can it, like in the first part, how many of you want that piece out of that? It's just so that I can get consistent feedback.
I want that down.
Okay,
I care less.
I would agree with Brett. Okay, so two.
It makes sense. We're not gonna require it.
3, okay. 7, 8.
Take it out.
Take it out, got
It's
it,
fine.
done. Good.
Okay, so the next one is insurance.
Oh, yes.
Again, I don't care.
I don't have any problem with that. I don't.
I mean, I would hope just by law, those people would have that if they're driving a vehicle.
I think should we for some reason know that someone's not licensed in an extreme situation, you can say, no, we're not going and completely cover.
But
it.
if
So,
their
I mean, I
parents
don't know.
say
It would be
that
really
they-
big.
Say, if a parent, if Brad, if you lost your license and you showed up at the game to pick up your child, granted, you would hope that you would have enough sense that
Right.
you're not gonna drive, but who are we to say that I need to see your license before you can take your child?
Yeah, I don't think it says that. It just, I think it's the expectation that someone is legal. I don't know. I don't think that's, I think that's fine.
That we're
It's like we have a little more coverage there.
It doesn't say we're gonna ask for it, so I don't know why it's in. I mean,
I
I
think
can
that's
see
just for
where,
covering us as a
Okay.
safety professional. We expect.
Not that you're gonna be put in a situation where you have to enforce it necessarily, but just saying it's there and that that's the expectation is don't just send whoever to come pick my kid up.
Yeah, what do we think? Let's get this discussion over with.
Leave it,
Mark,
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
you know, leave it no.
I don't care.
I can,
Don't-
whatever, I don't have.
I'm
what
fine with
it's
it, Stanley.
months.
Maybe.
Leave it.
Okay, next.
Oh, my God.
You tell me.
Are we good? Is this something we need to vote on or did we vote?
No,
on
it's
it?
just a review.
Okay, it's just
Again,
for
just
review.
for me to give
Okay.
feedback, but I wanted to make sure that as I'm changing something mid-year, right,
Okay.
that I am getting feedback and making sure that it's
Okay.
been reviewed and
Things that
everything else.
parents
Okay.
charge of.
Perfect.
I appreciate you tackling this.
Yes, of course. I
I
mean,
know it's
that's,
not fun.
again, that was one of my missions, that I want to make sure that we have procedures and policies in place so that we have accountability and, again, number one is our safety of our students, right? And so I want to make sure that we have things in place to make sure that that occurs. So,
All right. And then if folks want to make a full day, all day Saturday over here, they can start with sixth grade club football?
Yes,
At noon?
yes,
Right.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Oh, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Okay,
It starts, yeah.
all right.
Sorry.
Over there, go get lunch and
And then
Watch softball.
right on
Come
over to
back.
softball. Bring everyone, the whole community, come out, buy your
Alright.
tickets.
all right, very good.
House tournaments this weekend too.
All right, is that all day?
Volleyball house tournament for volleyball in Elias this weekend, so.
What is that like?
That's
Here.
powerful, I don't know.
Yes.
All right. Superintendent's report.
I may come in under the wire since Chris's was long, so this should be pretty good. Miss Aspen's out, she's doing supervision tonight for volleyball playoffs. But we're gonna move to beginning of year, end of year, everybody will report out, but in general, we'll go back and forth so that we're not redundant, so that we're efficient. We'll have elementary, then middle high, elementary, middle high.
Like,
As usual, culture and climate relationships, both campuses doing a good job of celebrations and recognitions. We are trying to build and establish a culture through process discussions, much like what happened here tonight with our transportation policy. I think as far as our climate and our culture, a lot of times that's driven by how our athletic teams do, and our athletics teams are doing pretty good right now, so that helps us quite a bit. We'll say staff is tired. Want to remind everybody, anytime you do better, you have to do more or better as you can, as a matter of continuous improvement, and folks are just tired. I'm sure they're going to be looking forward to the holiday season, getting a little break there. Personnel and staffing haven't had a lot of movement there. We're still looking for a kitchen manager. We've had a resignation there. Nothing bad, good reasons, but we have a solution for that. Have a couple coaches out, and we have pretty good solution for spring history that Mrs. Sassman is working on. I just came from the mayor conference in terms of professional development. There was some good stuff there. Last Monday was good. Staff did observations on plan strategy components. Basically, they left here, they went to another school district, they observed someone else, pulled strategies back, and then they're going to embed some of those improved strategies in their future lesson planning, which is just part of our professional development focus. Facilities doing good. We're going to continue with the steering committee. Next meeting will be November 1st in this room. We'll talk a little bit about track resurface and some track upgrades later on in the agenda. Been working a lot on softball, baseball area this week, just getting ready for the semifinals on Saturday. Hope everybody enjoys those. Yeah, other than that, just doing minor repairs. We did get the propane lines fixed in the kitchen, which was good. So now we can use all of our kitchen equipment. Defer to Coach Minix for athletics and fine arts. So I appreciated that update. We did do our annual audit. That'll we'll talk about that a little bit later, but bottom line, big improvement over the last couple of years, huge improvement. We're still working with our Mr. Carrick, who is our IRS lawyer regarding the 2019 issue. There hasn't been an update on that for a while. Just takes a long time. And we're already looking at next year's budget, believe it or not, trying to figure out what that looks like.
All right, any questions?
I have a question since we don't have a high school report, and this might be geared towards the other high school administrator, but how do parent teacher conferences work? They're open from 2 to 7
Yes,
on a day next week, and you can come anytime.
yes. So you'll be able to, our teachers will be in the rooms, and they'll be able to pop through and.
You just show up wherever you want to go.
Okay.
And then sometimes Dawn is busy, so we just show up.
I kind of wanted to mention it to encourage people to come out too, so that it's worth the teacher's time to be hanging out there.
100%, and that's,
Bring a copy of your kid's schedule.
Yeah.
that's been a big one of emphasis for us, is parent and teacher communications this year, so. Come out.
All right, do they buy their ticket to the softball game?
Any other questions, comments? All right, action items, lease purchase track.
Oh, great. So I gave you guys a little bit of background based on projections. If we were to include a track resurface and upgrade in our bond, it might be another season or two before we saw new resurfacing on the track. And that's a long time considering we really needed to do it this year. We did some repairs. So we do have a lease purchase option. For track resurfacing, fixing kind of the substrate that's under there. I included in there an estimate for lights and fencing as well. Got the rates back for that at 4.182. Also got the annual payment, which would be just a hair under $60,000. There are some pros to doing that. I mean, if we were to decide to go that direction, we had decent weather before winter did, we could have our track resurfaced before spring ever got here, which would be great for our kids. The con is that lease purchase comes out of your fund one or your general funds, and so it's like taking on a payment that is not covered in your debt service levy. We can afford to do that, but like anything, we have to consider priorities. So that means we would be earmarking about $60,000 a year for the next 10 years. Just to go towards track improvements. Having said that, Coach, you might be able to help me out with this. Pretty common about every 10 or 12 years to resurface your track.
Yeah.
So really, we should have been paying that about every 10 or 12 years all along the way. I don't even know. I think what 95, 96 was the first time we surfaced the track.
Yeah.
Have we resurfaced it since then?
I want to.
One time. Okay, so 27 years, we're stretching the limits of track surface as it is. Honestly, we should be doing this type of thing as a replacement cycle anyway. But if we include the resurfacing, fixing the substrate, go ahead and finish out our fencing, which the fencing there in front of the bleachers looks great. That actually came in below what I expected. I expected that to be closer to 50, ended up being around the $33,000 mark. And we desperately need to upgrade our lights. Since our season has started, I've made a concerted effort of just paying attention to everyone else's lights during Friday night, Monday night football. It looks like daytime on their track and their surrounding areas. It looks noticeably dark on ours. Lights are about 16 or 1700 per light. We have 28 lights. We really need to upgrade our lights. That all said and done is about that 425, 450 mark. The $62,000 a year is if we were to lease purchase 500,000, somewhere in that 55 to 62 range. My recommendation would be that we do that. We do have some options, though I spoke with another financial advisor today. If we decided to do a lease option, one of the pros are that $500,000 that would come out of our debt service, if we were to include that in a bond, well, that's freed up to do other things, which is good. We don't have much of a bonding capacity. That being said, we do have the option to pass, should we choose to pursue that, to pass a referendum in November that would essentially say we're going to lease purchase, but run paying this lease purchase off in our April election, so that if the bond were to pass, we could just pay off that lease purchase and it would be a part of our bond. The only requirement is that that bond be closed out and we pay off the lease purchase inside the same fiscal year. So we have some options there. But we can decide the referendum or not in the November, should we choose to move forward and pursue it on.
So help me understand. Leasing something that there's no way the leasor could physically take back from you. I mean, that was the thing that has kind of stumped me a little bit is. I mean, with a car, if you default, you can go get the car. If we would default, you can't get a track, so it doesn't feel like a lease. So
It's just a special brand of funding. I mean, I wouldn't be lying if I didn't say that it's not a way around getting having a construction purchase, a significant construction purpose without having to go to your community for a vote. And so it kind of legally maneuvers around all those obligations to do that. With that being said, if you're going to do it, you need to have excellent credit as a school district to do that. And we are in a position where we have very good credit. And so they are willing to do that, knowing that we are very, very likely to pay them back, and they're not going to have to. It would be hard to get that on the back of a tow truck. But It just maneuvers around the obligation to go to your voting public for that large of an expenditure. I don't know if I did a good job. with
Do
this
we
one.
have any sense of what the interest rate might be when we do go for our bond issue? If it's gonna be lower than this or higher than this?
It would be somewhere, if it's lower, it's only gonna be slightly lower in the 3.5 to 4.1. We're at 4.18 on this, 4.18. We're gonna end up somewhere right up on that 4%.
I'm fairly impressed with the rate.
I was
That's
kind of
really-
surprised it's that low. too, to
I
be honest.
was hoping for like about 3.5, like 2.5, 3.5 people were bragging, but
Right
we're
now.
not in that environment right now. I thought 4 was decent, especially for a lease purchase, but I'd still rather pay less if I can.
I thought that was a pretty reasonable rate today's world.
Considering inflation is that, and they're not making a lot of money on this, right?
I do think that our credit as a district, because they check our credit just like they would us as individuals if we borrow a car, puts us in a position. I mean, we don't go and get into a bunch of debt. We make our payments. If that makes sense.
And I don't like the idea of debt, but I also know this all needs done and we're gonna be. If we're really gonna do new school, we need every dollar we can to get what we're asked. what
I
we're
agree.
after.
To be very clear, as I'm thinking about budgeting for the next 10 years, I don't like the idea that I start $62,000 down from my fund one. But I do know that in terms of increase to AV, and we saw an indication of that this year, I think we're gonna look pretty good every single year. And so just our increase to AV in a year, we're gonna be beyond recouping what that payment is. And I don't know that we have any choice. We have to reset this on our track. No way around that.
I'm sorry, Amy.
Assessed valuation.
If you look at the track, like, just looking at it, it looks like, oh, it's in pretty good shape. I challenge anyone to go run on it because it's uneven. So I mean, I think this is something that we need to tackle, and I think it's not only an investment for track and any sporting extracurricular activity that goes on up there, but I mean, I was mentioning to you, PE classes use it all day long, so it's a classroom. I think it needs to be redone. This is a good way to do it.
Is everyone in line with focusing on kind of that the resurface with the fence and the lights? Everybody okay with that?
I think the lighting is important. When we get lights, we need poles too, correct? Or can we put
Poles would
lights
be
on the,
far more
can we
expensive.
put lights on the existing poles?
I sure hope so, because a pole, to redo the poles would be about 100,000 per pole if we upgraded the poles at the same time.
I don't know quite that much, but yeah, close to.
Maybe the total was on.
I think, yeah,
Was
when I looked at
significantly
it, I think it was 100. Maybe 150,000, to do like regional lights, with LED lights and poles.
Gotcha, maybe that's what I'm thinking. To give you an idea, Pacific we have 28 lights. Pacific had 64 and theirs were upgraded to LEDs. But you could also read in the middle of the track, it was so bright outside.
Purchasing poles right now, just from our work, is very expensive, like that's the bigger cost for our signs and different things, so. And then there's a huge delay in getting them, so you'd be months out for being able to get them in probably for new ones, so.
Our poles are in really good shape
Yeah. I
for
would
being
say
as old as they are. They're still green. They look good.
Are there any efficiency grants that we can apply for from either of the two electric utilities?
Not sure, but I can check and I will
I
tell
figured
you,
you would.
yeah. Whomever we end up running this through, which would more than likely be, I think it's Century that had handled the last one, they're the ones that gave you the rates. They will typically kind of check on those, go through a list of could this qualify, and then send us that paperwork.
The only thing I'd say in the lights. I don't know if you're using that quote I used originally on the lights, but it was 3 years ago. And it was a 1-for-1 replacement, which we're not the lighting consultant recommended start with a 1-for-1 replacement and see where you're at. And then add from there if you need to.
In this, at the 62,000, I have about $75,000 worth of room for those types of decisions, should we get there. A pretty significant amount, because this early it is some Kentucky one that can go on, we have very specific numbers. But I think we're in good shape with this amount to make a significant difference. And I understand everybody wants a red surface.
That'd be awesome if we could.
That'd be great. No,
Remember, red was a lot more expensive.
was it? I get.
It was a wear surface. It was more expensive, but it put the wear surface on, which you get additional life out of your track. Eventually, you're gonna have to put a wear surface back on. Was the understanding we had from McConnell out of Kansas City.
I was only half joking when I put that out because people get very invested in what color their tracks are. Do I hear? a
I'm just
preference?
wondering, is it gonna be the right red? Because if it's not gonna be the right red, I don't want.
Don't mess that up.
Don't mess that up.
Cardinal.
All right.
All right, any further discussion on this? I mean, the nice thing about it is if we do it and we find out that there's a lot of pushback on it, we can roll it into the bond issue later on. I mean, I think these all need to get done, unfortunately. I agree. I mean, the fencing is really the only thing that's really optional, but I tell you what, we get a new track and that fence is gonna look
Well,
awful. And
the
that's,
fence is
that's a
falling
cheap,
down.
that's a cheap
Awful
thing.
now.
I did feel like at 33,000, I thought that was at least $10,000 below what we were gonna get hit at for almost 1,000 feet of fence. And it'll all match in the black, it'll all be 4 foot,
Right.
all the gates will be the same. It should look like junk when they're finished.
What's out there?
Or is it also software?
That is only for the track.
What you have out there so far sure looks sharp.
Baseball, softball. Oh, it's not bad. Oh,
Better than football field.
Oh, yeah. that's inadequate. I mean, clearly, that's,
I mean, the
we got,
official.
we got to upgrade
Yeah,
there.
the officials said that will not be acceptable for
Varsity
varsity.
stuff, I can't, you know, that's.
Couldn't flashlights on every.
I worked hard.
All right, further discussion? Does anyone want to make a motion? What do you want a motion for? At least purchase for track to give Bob permission to pursue lease purchase options for track improvements. Will this come back to the board one more time for final approval next time or?
Yeah, well, filling it out, which we will submit this week, will not obligate us, but then we'll, if we receive funds, we're gonna be pretty obligated to that.
I'm moving, we give Bob the option to go ahead and pursue, all the options he deems appropriate for track improvements.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Okay, do we want to do this one? Raise right hand or you want to do roll call? It's a little more of the biggest purchase we've made. In my tenure, I think. Yeah, let's do roll call. Mark,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Naomi,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
I am a yes. All right, December board meeting should be a little simpler. December board meeting should be changed.
Far less. Right now, December board meeting is that third Thursday, which is the 15th. We won't have payroll processed.
The 21st. Like, that's not making sense.
So
Sorry.
is the 21st. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong last. Our last day of school is the 20th. Do we want to move our board meeting ahead of that last day of school, possibly to the 14th, so that we can line out our payroll to have folks paid by midnight of the 20th, which is when we would typically have our payroll process.
I
fine.
won't be here, but that's okay. I'm going to a concert. and-
Oh.
Tuesday. You can even have another.
We could do it that Tuesday also, would still be plenty of time to process.
I can do one.
The Tuesday works better for me, to be honest, but I could do either.
I'm just fine with that Thursday, sorry.
Either
So do it on the 12th.
the 12th,
19th,
19th,
19th.
That's fine.
19th work. Everybody? Okay, 19th it is,
You.
6:30. All right,
I won't be here for the November.
yeah, I've got a conflict too, to be honest, but
We want to take a look at that.
let's look at next month. What day is that one?
The 16th.
And I've got several conflicts that night. Hadn't figured it out yet, but. Anybody else have a conflict that night?
I think I will, but I don't know the basketball schedule yet, so
Would Tuesday be better? 14th,
for me, probably, because I think games for Catholic girls will be on Thursday nights.
what does the 14th look for everybody? Should we move that one too, Mark?
I can do either, that's fine.
Yeah,
Move to the 14th.
yep, it's
At
Thursday,
6:30.
things working out real well for us.
Thursday, they're not. good.
I think we need to vote on that.
Okay, can I get a motion to move the November and December board meeting dates?
I will make a motion to move the November and December meeting dates to November 14th and December 9th. Is that correct? I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. We had an abstention, so passes.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. that's fine. I'm all for this.
All right,
Not
very good.
super busy like you folks.
Okay, discussion items. The first one that's made the news today.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't even get to watch the news, so there may be information out there that I don't have, but I was gonna start by saying this is evolving almost daily.
Mhm.
So early indications by OSBA, which is our benefit provider, said we were in a great position in terms of benefits and rates to not really experience much of anything going into next year. I was pretty excited, and then the negotiation between Anthem and JCMG hit the news. And essentially it's this, they were in a multi-year contract. It's very similar to our Fresh Ideas issue. They were in the middle of a multi-year contract and said, we want to change to our rates. And that was to the tune of about 400%. So what they were charging and recouping at $1 rate, they wanted $4 for that. If OSBA agreed to that, that would substantially increase our rates for our members, which are teachers and staff. And so they said no. They were very optimistic about continuing to negotiate. But with that being said, November 8th is our last day for JCMG to be in our service pool. And so I'm going to send out an email tomorrow to our staff that was sent to us from OSBA today or yesterday. I forget what the date was on it, but essentially it outlines and instructs them on how they can provide alternate providers and primary care physicians. I'll keep you updated as I get more information. My family uses JCMG. I did click on their link today to see what that experience might be like for staff. And it's still listing JCMG's primary care physicians as options. So they haven't updated that either. So we're going to reach out tomorrow and ask them if there's going to be an update, because I chose the same provider today, which based on this change won't be possible. So that still places us in a position, if we're not including JCMG, to have the same cost to our employees going into next budget year. That could change if JCMG stays in network, but I can't tell you what that'll look like right now.
And the discussions evolving quickly. I mean, I heard about it last night. It was in the news today, so
We sent out an email to staff maybe last week.
Last week, Thursday or Friday, I think.
That just gave them a heads up that, hey, this might be coming, and so our staff are aware, but. We'll do what we can to put them in a good position.
all right. And I'm told there's a lot more to it than the whole renegotiation thing, but it sounded very complicated to me. Next up, audit preliminary.
Just wanted to give you guys an update. We performed very well. Like I said, outside of our normal contracted rate, 2 or 3 years ago, we had about $20,000 in billable hours. Our first year last year, we did pretty well, but we still had about $1,000 in billable hours afterwards. This year, they were gone. They had a fairly short day. They were in and out, and I doubt we'll get much of a bill with them at all. And so their contracted rate should be really close to what we'll pay, and we did really well there. Had a couple of issues with coding, but those coding issues were really 2 years ago as staff came on board. So as a team, I think we got the equivalent of an A with very little annotations from the auditors. That worked
Very good.
out. It's always nice.
When will we get those results?
We'll have those results to vote on November, December. We may
Okay.
have that complete by our November and vote.
All right.
So I can submit that.
Very good.
Yeah, well, good job, Bob.
Good job.
For that, for real. That's pretty significant.
I like not having to pay you extra money.
No, I mean, yeah, no, y'all did a fantastic job there, obviously.
Bond steering committee meeting.
Again, another update. Our next meeting will be November 1st. Wanted to let you guys know that I met with them several times, talked about goal setting, establishing agendas. We're going to explore the Northwest option. Talked a lot about communication, and then look through our post-meeting survey feedback. I'm going to take the opportunity to clarify some budget questions. And I've asked Joe Kender from Stiefel to come and walk us through the bonding process and the strategies that we might use to maximize what our bonding capacity looks like. And so early indications are that we'll be somewhere in that $8.5 to $10 million bond capacity to do our work for this next bond, if that's what we solidly do.
All right. Very good. Mental health goal.
Mental health goal.
Oh, I skipped one, didn't I? First reading of regulation 4220.
Policy 4220 would remain the same, and that's the buttressing policy for it. So the removals from regulation 4120, which is or personnel services 4220, would be we would remove normal working day members of the teaching staff are required to be on duty 15 minutes before beginning and 15 minutes after the close of the student day. We would remove that and we would replace it all or in part with the following. It is recognized that professional duties and responsibilities extend beyond the student contract hours to include time for such activities as additional planning and evaluating meetings, professional growth, parent conferences, sponsoring activities, supervisory duties, which was an addition, and participation in open house and PTO meetings if needed. These professional tasks will be equitably shared so that no staff member is given undue burdens. Then I added, in addition to the requirements set forth in policy 4220, the Board of Education will review the non-student contract requirements, duties, and contracted day length annually. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility, but it also adds in reviewed annually. So that way we can make sure that we keep a healthy work-life balance with our staff.
And we talked about that last month, just a little bit. Any feedback on that?
We're taking out the 15 before, 15 after completely.
Yeah, because we don't do it right now. Our folks come in.
I get it, but like, you see someone that think that, say, wow, they can make me, I don't know.
The flip side of that is
They can make
people
say
sit there and
how
watch the
long.
clock and
You know, what I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, of course, 90% of us. Are way beyond it.
Sure.
Seems like someone can really take a shot at that one, take the time out of it. You know, what I mean?
Flip side of
I
that
could
is-
just see that, I just see somebody.
Which is why we.
I could just see it. Okay, well, yeah, you got it. I trust you guys. It's fine.
Other feedback? All right, consider first read. Mental health goal.
As requested by Coach Phillips, I completed or amended our district improvement plan to include two goals. One was annual training for staff and mental health for staff and mental health supports for students. And then we also established that our future goals would create a response to intervention plan for students and staff to kind of align local and regional resources for students and staff that are in crisis in terms of mental health. So a little bit of education, a little bit of training, and then how we are going to respond when we recognize that in either our staff or our student.
Thank you.
Okay. Lead testing RFQ.
So I requested last month to put out an RFP. Shortly after that, I got a bid for testing our access points that was about a quarter of it, what it was before then. It's just not going to be a big ticket item like I thought it was. I don't think it's necessary for us to do an RFP, waste our time. I just wanted to make you guys aware that I wouldn't be doing that unless we felt strongly that we should still put it out for bid proposals.
Perfect. Anything else?
I appreciate the update.
All right. The next board meeting will be on November 14th, 2023. Can I get a motion to adjourn to closed session?
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subsections 13 relative to personally identifiable employment information, 3 personnel actions, 6 personally identifiable student information, 1 legal actions involving a public body and or privileged communications among that body and its representatives or attorneys.
Excellent. So we've got a motion and a second roll call vote. Mark?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Naomi?
Yes.
Lana?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
I'm a yes. We are adjourned.